What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew with a brand new episode of the Paul James Show. It is our round 20 preview episode, and I'm keen to get into it. Ben has created the longest runner show of all time on a night when I wanted to kind of wrap up in a fairly decent time. So bear with me. We're going to get into the swing of things nice and quickly tonight, and he's having a good old laugh in my text messages. So Ben, I know you're watching for the next few minutes. Here's one of those for you. Looking forward to chatting to all of you tonight, though, about all things Geelong and North Melbourne this weekend and a whole range of the other big topics in the Geelong Football Club orbit this week. There's been a few things pop up. Let's get into things, though. We'll talk about the rundown for the night. We'll, of course, get into match committee, the selections that have and haven't been made this week. We'll look at the preview of the Geelong and North Melbourne game, which is Saturday night. We'll go around the grounds and look at all the other games of the week. We've got a player spotlight, which Ben has been, and I'll drop the graphic now just to appease the clown. He's been in a fantastic four kind of mood right now. He talks to me about being a bit of a nerd and a dork when it comes to video games, but geez, he's a superhero nerd. Gary Ablett, our fantastic four, is the player spotlight player tonight. We're obviously not talking about a current player now, but certainly one that is very near and dear to all of our hearts. We'll get into some Q&A. We've got game of the show, and we'll wrap this one up in about an hour or so. So, from here, let's get into some of the admin. If you enjoy the show, please make sure to drop a like. If you're watching it right now, you're only 2 minutes into the video. Who cares? Drop a like anyway. I promise you, it is going to be a good time. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the Hoops Crew on YouTube. Share it with your friends and family. Get the word out there about all of the awesome content that we're creating. You can be heard using our super chat function. Consider checking it out. It costs you whatever you want, super chat there, but it gets those a little bit of extra support in for the Hoops Crew, and you a little bit of an extra shout out yourself for being a wonderful individual. Of course, use the chat the rest of the time, though, as I can see many of you already doing. Make sure to follow me on socials, Paul James Games, that's Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew is at the Hoops Crew, and stay tuned for our sponsors shortly. Now, let's get into things properly here. Ben references a poll and the graphic that he hasn't provided me, so good start, mate. There's always a screw up in every single show. So let's jump into some news here, some top-level stuff. And some big conversation points involving the Cats this week. Firstly, up-and-coming legend Connor O'Sullivan, who is our little feature player here on our round. Ben, it's round 20 this week, mate. Another screw-up. Not good enough. He signed on till 2028. So looking forward to having him on the list for a lot longer. He's the one true rising star this year. He may not win it, but he's the one true rising star. He's the rising star in all of our hearts. He's done a phenomenal job so far this season. Looking forward to having him on for a few more years to come, and then hopefully a contract is signed somewhere down the line that makes him a Cat for life. I'm not talking about the 7 or 8 year monster deal, but just contract after contract that keeps him there with the Cats till the end of his career. He's doing some great stuff very, very early on, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of what he can offer as he continues to develop in this game. Big conversation point in the last 24, 48 hours that I've gotten in on the act with, and if you haven't checked out my video on the Hoops Crew YouTube channel, it's a pre-recorded one. It's not live. Go check it out now. It's all about Charlie Curnow. Of course, he's been linked to a few different clubs, Geelong, Gold Coast, and Sydney. I put together a video because Geelong is one of those clubs that has been linked to him. So I want to talk a little bit about the hows and whys that could possibly happen, that could possibly make that occur, why it might be a thing in the first place, but also why I think it won't be. And I think there's been a few people, and I'm not saying it's anyone that's watching in the chat tonight. I think you've all done an amazing job, but it's clear that there's a few people that just read the headline and instantly dumped their thoughts in there and didn't necessarily consider that perhaps I wasn't all for the idea or didn't think it was plausible or even possible. But anyway, go check out that video. It's about 13 minutes long, talking about the ins and outs of the whole thing, how it could work, why it may or may not work, and what it could potentially look like if he were in the blue and white hoops. that's the topic about Charlie Curnow. Of course, there's a lot to it, though. Like I said, there's 2 other clubs linked to him. And also, I suspect it's quite likely that he won't actually depart from the club full stop. It feels like, as one of those absolute marquee players of the competition, that he's not going to go anywhere anyway. Roaming's popped in saying, we don't want him. He's crap. I'm not as convinced of that, but I do think he, from time to time, gets a bit of an armchair ride from some of the umpires. Not that he's getting favoritism or anything like that, but I think his goal tally has been a little bit inflated by some free kicks over the years. So I don't question that he wouldn't be an amazing asset for it. I don't think he's quite as good as everyone's making him out to be. I think he'd be a huge asset for the Cats, though, if we got him, regardless. But I just don't see it happening. He's valued too highly at Carlton, and that you'd have to give away a lot to get him to appease Carlton. Not because he's necessarily worth it, as Roaming's saying, but Carlton's, they value him incredibly highly, and it'd be really hard to pry him out of there. So I just, in short, don't think it's really going to happen. But check out my video there. Go check out the video. It's on the YouTube channel already. And let me know what you think in the comments there. If you've already watched it, drop some thoughts in the chat as well. Melbourne, they're going to be appealing the 3-match suspension received by Stephen May. I've seen a little bit of conversation, not so much in the Hoops community outside of highlighting what the actual outcome was, but they're going to be appealing it early next week because he's concussed and can't play this weekend anyway. They are going to go through the appeals process next week around the Stephen May bump on the weekend against old Frankie the Tank and his missing tooth. I hope someone found it. I don't know if everyone's seen the clip, but you can see that tooth fly out in slow motion. Pretty unfortunate for Frankie, but and hope. Oh, hang on. Would you trade Neil for Curnow is the question. I mean, I don't think Carlton would want Neil. I suppose if you're going to get this forward, then you probably need to offload a forward just to. But no, I don't. I don't think I would. Not because the ceiling for Curnow versus Neil, maybe Curnow's ceiling is higher, but Shannon Neal's got plenty of years left in his legs. Curnow gone through ACLs. He's a good short-term thing, but he's not the long-term sort of thing. We might get a good 4 or 5 years out of him, but Shannon Neal we could get 10 years out of, and I'll take that. Thank you very much. But there's pros and cons to both. I'd certainly appreciate it. Melbourne will be appealing the Stephen May 3-week ban, and we'll see how that one plays out. I've dunked on Stephen May a little bit over the course of the last few years, but I have no problem with what he did. I don't think he was trying to injure Frankie Evans. I don't think there was any malice or any ill will or any flawed technique either. That ball, as many people have spoken about, it kind of kicked up at the last minute, suddenly out of reach for him, and he did what any player would do, which is protect yourself a little bit. I have no issues with what he did. And as Gary has just said, if he doesn't get off, it's a miscarriage of justice. I mean, we're probably getting a little bit heavy-handed with the language there. We're just talking about football at the end of the day. But he was, as Roaming says, he wasn't going to bump. He was going for the ball. And we can't discourage our players from going at the ball. That is the goal of the game at the end of the day. All right, continuing on from there. The NFL, the game at the MCG is potentially going to create a little bit of a clash with the 2026 final series. Good luck to the AFL trying to navigate that one. I don't have that much interest in the end of the day. They'll schedule it around, they'll make it all work. It'll be fine. And there's been a little article pop up in the last couple of days. If you're part of our Discord, I believe someone's used an archive.md link and dropped it in there for people to go and read. So you can go backtrack and have a bit of a look at it, all about Ollie Dempsey and his relationship with Gary Ablett Jr. and how, who we'll be talking about in more detail later on, of course. But he's doing some incredible things. He talks about his faith. He talks about his relationship with Gary, how they kind of met, how they kind of worked together, how influential a figure that Gary has been, not just on Ollie Dempsey, the footballer, but on Ollie Dempsey, the person. And really, in a lot of ways, it's just another opportunity to celebrate Gary Ablett Jr. for just how phenomenal he is. And we wish both Gary And Ollie, all the very best. And that now takes us to the selection table. We're getting into match selection this time, and there's not a lot to see. No change for the Cats this weekend, which leads to our bench consisting of Jack Martin, Brian Myers, Mark O'Connor, Oisin Mullen, and Jack Bowes, one of which will be the sub. We just don't know who that is yet. And the emergencies consisting of Ollie Henry, George Stevens, and Mitch Nevitt. I mean, look, you look at, I guess, those on the bench. You look at those listed as the emergencies. It really shows, let alone those players who aren't getting games at the moment. You can talk... you can talk about Jai Clark in the form that he's in, Ted Closey in the form that he's in. Hell, we can talk about your Jacob Molliers, your Jay Polkinghorns, and all these young blokes who are doing a fantastic job in the seconds. Toby Conway, who's returned this weekend. And please, if you haven't checked out the video that Jake has put together about Toby Conway on the Hoops Crew YouTube channel, please check that one out. It's a really fascinating look into his return game and how he's going and kind of the build from here, what the road ahead for Toby Conway might look like. But it really shows this incredible depth that we've got at the moment. I know we're not like top of the ladder when it comes to the VFL, but we're challenging some of those top teams. Not always winning, but we're challenging some of those top teams. And it's really being carried by this next level of Geelong AFL listed player who's doing a phenomenal job. And I'm really bullish about what we can do in the future. I've had some fairly lengthy conversations in the Discord. Again, the Discord link should be in the show notes, so go check that one out. And maybe someone will even pop it in the chat as we're going tonight. But there's been a lot of conversation about, I guess, Geelong's list profile. A lot of this was kind of stirred by the Charlie Curnow conversation about, players, where they're coming, who's coming, who's going, all those sorts of things. And you look at that next level of Geelong player, those who aren't getting games at the senior level, who are in their first, second, third years, and they are consistently doing a really, really good job at the moment. Good luck to the Geelong list management team at the end of the year, who probably got to delist at least a couple beyond some retirees at the end of the year. It's going to be really, really hard. And I feel like there's going to be some players who, on most other lists in the competition, would be absolutely kicking the door down, potentially even part of their starting 23. But at Geelong, you could be on the chopping block. It's a good problem to have, but it's also really sad for some of those players who might be right on the edge right now. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And I don't look forward to potentially having to do a video at the end of the year about Geelong's delistings. It was one of our most watched videos last year, but all for the wrong reasons, unfortunately. So hopefully some of these guys get a game nice and soon. Jackie's kind of highlighted, Buse not even emergency. Jed may have to look elsewhere. His father did, says Gary, which is true. It's certainly an interesting one. Hashtag, of course, because I don't know if roaming's there, of course, but hashtag justice for Jed is an important one there. I still firmly believe that Jed Buse should be on the list. Gary says, look at Mitch Hardy last year. I mean, I guess I'm curious as to what you mean by that. He was obviously one of those ones that seemed to be kicking the door down, but never actually got a debut and then got delisted. Many of us within the Geelong community thought, okay, wasn't up to making the main list at Geelong or retaining a spot on the main list, but surely he's going to get picked up by another club. And he never did, which is really, really interesting. Didn't work out for Mitch Hardy, potentially may never work out for Mitch Hardy. I'm sure the Vallas, I'm sure Brendan's just, his ears are pricked up all the way out there, and his spidey senses of, he's feeling a disturbance in the force, as I mentioned, Mitch Hardy, but there could be plenty of players like him in on this Geelong list right now. We'll just never know, I guess. Well, we will eventually come to know, but they could be right under our noses, unfortunately. We'll just not know it right now. Flash Movie Trivia also highlights or asks, has Colin Jasny played his last game? No, I think he's still too young right now. And he's had one genuinely derailed year with injury. I don't think you can... I think if he was to get delisted now or suggest, it was recommended that he finds a new home, I think that'd be kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We'd be jumping to that conclusion too quickly. If he has another derailed season, though, that might be a trickier conversation. When you've got the likes of Sam De Koning and Connor O'Sullivan, Lawson Humphreys, all these young guys who are coming through and doing a really solid job, it makes it harder for some of those blokes who are on the older side and then suddenly copping a few injuries. It's what Cam Guthrie's battling right now. JL says, is it me or does the 2014 semi-final between Geelong and North Melbourne... Sorry. or does the 2014 semi between Geelong and North is a game that is easily forgotten? It was a close one. It was a close one. It was a really fascinating game, that one. Jackie says she tried to put the Discord link in, but failed. We'll leave it for Shadu. Again, I'm hoping it's in the description for the show already. But if it's not, I'm sure Shadu or someone will do so if they get the opportunity. If I can get a chance, I might even try and do it myself. Lucas highlights, and it's good to see him popping in because usually he doesn't rock up till the end because of the football on. But we're getting an absolute blockbuster right now. Hawthorn 43, Carlton 8, and hence why he's probably no longer watching the game and here with us. Let's continue on through match selection here. Tom Stewart, Ben's just flagged him as a potential late change. Of course, we've heard courtesy of Chris Scott through the week, he's jarred his knee. It was very precautionary, but maybe given the opposition that we give him a week off. We'll see how that one goes. But also, going back to our graphics here, Paddy Dangerfield will be playing his 200th game for the Geelong Football Club this weekend. Congratulations to our skipper. He's notching up milestones every other week at the moment. Hopefully, he plays a little bit better in this one than he did his 350th recently. It's a huge milestone. Massive accomplishment from Paddy, coming across from the Adelaide Crows and having done such a fantastic job ever since. Looking forward to what else he can provide with however long is left in his career. We did speak about it the other night. He is signed on until the end of 2026. We'll just have to see what happens, because if we win a premiership, I stand by the fact that I feel like his circumstance could change. All right. The injury suspensions list, Cam Guthrie is listed as a test, so he is gradually inching his way back towards a VFL return again, and then who knows what happens from there. Mitch Duncan is 2 weeks away with his shoulder. Jake Kolodjasny, who we just discussed before, and Gary would love to have in the team right now, is still listed as indefinite. Ollie Wiltshire in the concussion protocols, but I believe, and it's a timing thing, I believe he's able to come out this week. It's just that as of when the injury list was published, he was still in the protocol. Grey area, problematic publishing times, etc. Some notable absentees, and we've discussed all three of these so far, but there's many more that I'm sure all of you have got on the mind, let alone those who are also on the emergencies list. Ted Closey, Jed Buse, Toby Conway, all been putting in some really good football. Obviously, in the case of Toby Conway, he's had 3/4 of a game so far, but some notable absentees there. And again, highlights that incredible depth that we've got. We're in a really good position at the Geelong Football Club right now. For the opposition, they've got 3 ins at this particular point in time. Zane Dersma, Finbar Maley, and Robert Hansen Jr. are coming in. Robbie Hansen. On the outs, Boomers boy Cooper Harvey is out for the North Melbourne Football Club, and they have no milestones of any major significance this weekend, courtesy of Ben. Flash Movie Trivia says, Cats, Hawks, and Eagles, healthiest list, just 4 players out for each club. Essendon, a whopping 16. Isn't that a glaring indictment on the West Coast Eagles right now? 4 out from their list, and they're getting smoked. If Paddy wanted to, he could easily become the AFL president one day. I think, yeah, you're right. I think Paddy could do really whatever he wants once his career is over. It feels like he'll chase the media scene for a little while. He's got the energy, he's got the enthusiasm for it, but I could very easily see him, go chase, presidential role, doing a whole bunch of really big things for AFL or at club level or in the media. Like he's got the charisma for any of it and all of it. I can see Paddy doing a fishing show, the one he currently or has been doing. Did somebody say KFC? Says Scars. That'd be nice about now. All right. Let us get into match preview mode here as I get my screen sharing going and get out of here, Danger. Boom. There we go. As we get into... Oh, that was way too big. There we go. Much better. As we get into match preview mode here, we are playing 7:35 on Saturday night against North Melbourne. It's a strange time slot considering where North are positioned on that. In fact, the whole fixturing, and we'll talk about the rest of the round shortly, the whole fixture is an absolute shit show this weekend. And I didn't end up getting to do my nuff this week about Big Mac from Gold Coast. So I kind of half nuffed him on Monday night, but I'm sensing that my nuff this week will go to the AFL for the lack of fixture for round 24. It is round 20 We are a month out. How have you not announced when these games are going to be played? They have this weird, awkward, scheduled situation with the Gold Coast Suns and Essendon, but like the Gold Coast Suns specifically because they actually can make finals. And they haven't been public with what they're going to do yet. They haven't worked out what they're going to do. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. I cannot understand how we don't have the fixture sorted for round 24 yet. Fans want to buy their tickets, want to organize their travel, all of those kinds of things. There's probably going to be a bunch of players retiring. They want to know where they're going, when they're doing it, organizing their families. It is bullshit from the AFL that they don't have it done. I'm going to stop here because I want to save it for a proper nuff next week. But yeah, AFL should be nuff every week, Jackie says. And yeah, I haven't done enough. Yeah, I meant to on Monday, and then we had the longest Paul James show probably of all time on Monday night, knocking over 2 hours, and I was knackered. I needed to go inside, so I didn't record it like I'd planned on. And just here we are. All right, let's continue on, though, with the match preview. We've already kind of gone through the lineups at this particular point, but let's highlight some other key details, some points of note going into this game. Geelong are currently fourth on the ladder, 12-6, and have won 3 of their last 5 games. North Melbourne, 17th on the ladder, 5 from 12, and have won 1 from their last 5 games. The last time these two teams played, Ben has given me a dodgy link because it links to a Geelong and St Kilda game from earlier this year. Good job, mate. The last time we played, it was a 40-point win at Ninja Stadium to the Cats. Ollie Dempsey had 18 disposals and kicked 3 goals. Tom Stewart, 32 disposals and 9 marks. Whilst for the Roos, Nick Larkey, who I believe is still not playing this weekend. I've got to double check that, but I'm pretty sure he's still out. Nick Larkey. Yep, he's still out. He kicked 3 goals from 7 disposals. Harry Sheasel had 36 disposals and 5 tackles. Roaming us, does my wife watch the Paul James show? No, she's got better. No, she doesn't have better things to do with her time. But she's right now she's working very hard on her photography business. She's just launched and it's July. Let's note, but she's already just launched her pre-sale period for Christmas photo shoots, and they're very quickly selling out. In like the last hour, she's taken on dozens of clients. So. Is that Ben Dover you keep talking about? Ben, as in my fellow Hoops crew member, just can't put together good show notes. Not without making a few mistakes anyway. The history between these two teams is as follows. There's been 172 matchups between the Geelong and North Melbourne football clubs, with Geelong holding a 63% winning record. They've played in 1 draw and 7 finals. Prelims in 1950 and 1994, semis in 1976 and 2014, the 2014 semi that we were referring to earlier on, and qualifying finals in 96, 97, and 2007. The biggest win by the Cats against North is 114 points in 1981. That's the biggest win. The highest score kicked by the Cats against North, 192 in 1992. The longest winning streak, 23 wins between 1925 and 1939. That is huge. With the biggest home and away crowd being 52,426 in 1996. You'd love to see that number be a bit bigger. And maybe one day, if North get off the canvas, maybe it will be. The most goals in a game against North Melbourne was kicked by Doug Wade. He's kicked 13 in 1971. And the most disposals in a game against North Melbourne, you believe it, it's Paddy Dangerfield, 48 in 2016, that big breakout year. Jackie says 1997, we was robbed. I really need to let that go. We all do, but it's okay. We can hold on to the pain. This is the bit here where Ben likes to highlight some opposition trolling that we can get up to. It's been 10 years since North beated. He didn't write that. That was just a brain fart. It's been 10 years since North beat Geelong. 2015, that was when that happened. And they're currently on a 13-game losing streak. It's the worst losing streak. Worst losing streak was 35 games between 1933 and 1935. That's a lot of football lost in a row. It's been 26 years since their last premiership. And Gary Ablett, and of course, here we go. So we can talk about things like 97, but stealing Lee Colbert. But we can also talk about the Gary Ablett Sr. goal after the siren that put the Cats into the grand final. Forget the grand final result. Don't worry about it. The kick after the siren. Mick Martin had given him a bath all day, and he plucked one at the very end with mere seconds to go on the clock, kicks the goal after the siren. Cats are in the grand final. And he's also tossed the Wayne Carey debacle in there. That's a bit rough. I mean, he did the wrong thing, but how far back do we want to go for non-footballing related things? For the opposition, they've got a few stars coming through. Let's not let's not lose sight of the fact that North are a very young team, but they've got some great talent they are just developing. Here's a few of the real highlight players. Now, of course, we've spoken about Nick Larkey. He's not playing this weekend. He's factored out of this. But Luke Davies-Uniacke, Harry Sheasel, Jai Simpkin, and Colby McKercher are some absolute guns on that list. And there's a few others in there that you could bundle into that conversation as well. They've got some great depth and some great skill coming through. They just need to grow and develop. This is a team that if they can make a few clever choices at the draft table in the next 12 to 18 months, draft and trade tables, they can really rocket up the ladder. They need to keep their players. They need to stop leaving for offers and temptations at far more successful clubs. And then they need to build that talent base. And if they do so, they're fine. North are currently arse. But the talent's there. They've just got to get it right. What's at stake for this game, though? I mean, North, look, if they get within 30 points, that's a respectable result for them. So they're going to be they're fighting for some respect. Maybe their coach is even fighting for his job. There's been a few question marks, not too many. But Clarko, it's getting close to a point where people need to start thinking a little bit about his tendency at the club, whether he belongs there going probably beyond 2026. I think he's safe for the end of this year, but the end of the following year, I can see it. Jackie says, Wayne Carey is my most hated footballer of all time. I will never not find that game funny. And fair enough. Roaming asks, what happens if we lose? What will the Cats fans do? We'll riot, for starters. But, and sorry, Gary, I'll come back to your comment in a second. We'll riot, but also that probably blows up our top two, potentially even our top four chances. I know there's a lot of winnable games before the end of the season, but I think that blows up our top two and potentially even top four chances. And then it's just about hanging on and making sure the Dogs or someone don't knock us out of the finals altogether. So yeah, that's that one. The predictions, I mean, in my mind, Cats by 50 points minimum. Cats by 50 points for this one. We should just get the job done comfortably. No Larkey helps as well. That's their big weapon in the forward line. They don't have a lot else that kind of, I think, puts the fear of God through people. But we want them to be accountable. We want them to be disciplined. The most important thing for the Cats out of this game is playing the right football. We need to see them building upon that game that we started to see last week and get themselves into finals football form before too long. Roaming says, at the Snow, can't go. Now, Gary, what'd you say? One of my early recollections of football was a game between Geelong and North. They had two brothers playing, Lennon Barry Pascoe, and Barry kicked John Shamrock. John Sharrock right when he was on the ground. Oh, rough. And you've hated him ever since. Flash Movie Trivia says, actually just Googled and found out that Chris Scott has a 17-win and 8-loss record against Clarkson. Yeah, I mean, look, he came in at kind of the right time. He came in in the midst of the Kennett curse. Hawthorn have dropped off. We remain relevant the whole time. And certainly Clarko hasn't pinched any wins since he's become the North Melbourne coach as well. So that kind of helps the record there. But it's a good little stat there, Flash. All right. We've got a lot more to cover, including our player spotlight. We've also got to go around the grounds, and I've seen Lucas talking about the Hawthorn game right now and how scary they might be looking. We're going to get into all of that shortly after a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we'll get up to. Now, let's get into the other games of the round here. We obviously have heard that basically Carlton getting spanked at the moment in their farewell game for Sam Doherty. It's not going to script, but the other games this week in round 20, not round 19, Ben. We begin with the game that's playing right now, Hawthorn and Carlton. We're currently at 30 seconds into the second quarter, and Hawthorn are up by 35 points. It is 50-15. We then have, and obviously, blockbuster Thursday night game. Friday, another blockbuster as well. Essendon, who recently lost by 91 points to the Dogs, have another crack with an even more depleted list this Friday night at Marvel Stadium. We've got a slew of Saturday games for some illogical reason. GWS and Sydney at Energy Stadium. Gold Coast and Brisbane at Paul First Stadium. Okay, that's not a mistake from Ben, but it's a shame you put that in there, but then couldn't get the round number right. Anyway. Oh, and then you made a typo in the very next row as well. Ben. Fremantle and West Coast at Opta Stadium. North Melbourne and Geelong, we've spoken about already at Marvel. Adelaide and Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. Richmond and Collingwood kick off the Sunday games at the MCG, and St Kilda and Melbourne play at Marvel Stadium. This fixturing is an absolute disgrace. By the time they locked the times in for this, the floating fixture thing, there's merit to it because you can look at the ladder, look at the teams, and work out which teams should be in the spotlight. And so at the time of year where they announced the back end of the year's fixtures, how on earth did they come to the conclusion that Carlton and Essendon should be playing on Thursday and Friday nights? How did they come to the conclusion that North and Geelong, for as much as we might like ourselves a marquee spot, how on earth did they conclude that North and Geelong should be playing on Saturday night? I would have taken my son to that game. I can't because it's a nighttime game. And also it takes away from a really fascinating game in Adelaide and Port Adelaide. You could have also had Freo and West Coast there at nighttime. Geelong and North didn't have to be Saturday night. They could have spread out these rivalry games. So again, you've got crosstown rivals everywhere with GWS and Sydney, Gold Coast and Brisbane, Freo and North, Adelaide and Port Adelaide. Like, every in-state team is playing against their crosstown rival this weekend. Why did they all have to be at the same time? That could have been Thursday, Friday, Thursday night, Friday night, and 2 on Saturday. Maybe spread them, maybe put them both at Saturday night, whatever, I don't know. Or 1 on Sunday as well. Like, fuck me, these people at the AFL have absolutely no idea, I reckon. But anyway, that's your fixture for the rest of the round. Let's continue on from there. Some milestones this weekend. We've, of course, mentioned Sam Doherty in his farewell game that's being played right now. But Jacob Wiedering is also playing his 200th in this matchup between Carlton and Hawthorn. Tim English will be playing his 150th for the Dogs on Friday night. Jordan Dawson, Sean Lemons will both be playing their 150th over the course of the weekend. And Isaac Cumming will be playing his 100th game this weekend. In the VFL, Geelong will be playing North Melbourne Sunday at 12:05 at Arden Street Oval, whilst for the girls in the VFLW, the season is now over. So we unfortunately cannot talk any more about that, but we are now just a week and change away from the AFLW kicking off. So please make sure you get those memberships, get yourself ready to support the girls in an endeavour that might result in a premiership. I think very, very highly of the girls list and where they've been in the last few years. And here's hoping that they can pull it off this year. I'm just a little bit late to go back and look at the chat, but Roaming's dropped the flower emojis for Cyril Cook. Thank you, as always, to them and all of you who dropped those little flower emojis. So anyone else, please go and do it. What else have we got here? Hawks thrashed the Blues late last year too. Didn't help in the finals. I like your thinking, Jackie. Optus Stadium is the best. Lucas says we need Port to win to help Geelong. And these sorts of ones, these crosstown rivalries, these big showdowns or derbies, or Q clashes, or what did I call it? The Sydney Bash or something at the beginning of the year. These are good occasions for an upset. So it would be awesome, for Kenny Hinkley in his last crosstown rival matchup to steal a win against the Crows. I'm sure he would be getting the boys up for this one. It'd be huge for the Cats, as Lucas says. If Port can pinch this, it makes a big deal for the Cats and our top 2 chances and top 4 chances in case we manage to blow one somewhere along the way. Flash says, based on the concept here, we should have been playing Hawthorn this round. Yeah. Optus Stadium is Telstra sabotage. Why is Sam retiring? I think he's had 3 knee reconstructions. He's fought off cancer twice. I feel like this is just one of those, I'm tired and I can't do it anymore sort of things. I also sense that maybe a delisting was coming. He's been playing some pretty good football, but I think Carlton now need to make a few moves when it comes to their list. I think that might begin with Nick Austin being relocated. But anyway, the less I talk about him, the better. Why round 20? Maybe it's their last game at the MCG. I'll quickly filter the fixture by Carlton, see where they're playing for the rest of the year. They're playing. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but they are playing. So their next three games are at Optus, Marvel, and then the final game of the season is against Essendon, the MCG. So I feel like I could have done it there, but maybe he was just like, I just can't. I've had enough. I'm cooked. I can't do this. And so he felt like he wasn't going to make it to round 24 against Melbourne against Essendon at the MCG. And then you want to probably do it at the MCG. You get more of a crowd. You can make more of an occasion. Maybe Carlton were going to go saying, okay, well, we're going to start blooding the kids. Could be all that. There could be all those factors in it. There's probably some Sam Doherty rationale and probably some club rationale as well as to why that night, or tonight, is the farewell game. All right. It is time to get back to our player spotlight. Gary Ablett Jr., the 979th. And I'm not going to keep plugging this because Ben thinks he's done a really amazing job with this one. And sure, that's not a bad Photoshop, but he's just enjoying Fantastic Four. He's just a massive Marvel dork. Ben, grow up, mate. No, I'm kidding. I play video games. 979th player to wear the hoops for the famous Geelong hoops. He's one of 4 Ablets to have played for the club across 19 seasons of football. 12 of them were with the Cats. 357 games in his career, 247 of those with the Geelong Football Club. 445 goals, 321 of those for the Geelong Football Club. But in his time in his career, he has notched up an enormous number of achievements, beginning with a VFL Premiership in 2002. He was the NAB Cup Premier, or one of the NAB Cup Premier players in our... Oh, my God. One of the players in our NAB Cup Premiership in 2006, where he kicked a super goal as well. He's featured in 2 AFL Premierships in 2007 and 2009, and probably would have been a third had he not busted his shoulder in 2020. It was just an awful way for his career to come to a close. But it is what it is, I guess. He's featured in 4 grand finals, 2007, 8, 9 and 20, 7 preliminary finals, 2004, 7, 8, 9, 10, 19 and 20, 5 semi-finals in 2004, 5, 10, 19 and 20, 7 qualifying finals in 2004, 7, 8, 9, 10, 19 and 20, and 2 elimination finals in 2005 and 2018. He's won the Brownlow Medal twice, in 2009 and 2013, once for the Cats, once for the Gold Coast Suns. He's been the 5-time AFL MVP, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2012 and 2013 as a Sun. Won the Cargie Greaves Medal twice, 2007 and 2009. He's the 4-time Gold Coast Club Champion, which really should just be named the Gary Ablett Award, 2011, 12, 13, and 17. He's an 8-time All-Australian. I'm getting so tired reading all these years out. 2000, Ben says struggling to talk tonight, struggling to hang on, let's get his rounds right and get all the typos right here. So we've got round 19, we've got Optus Stadium, just butchering a few things here tonight, Ben. Don't you get on my case. I've got you covered, champ. Where were we? The 8-time All-Australian, 2007, 8, 9, 10, where he's the vice captain. 2011, where he's the captain. 2012, where he's the vice captain. 2013, where he's the vice captain. And 2014. He's also, in the eyes of many of us, the moral Norm Smith medalist from 2008 with 34 disposals and 2 goals, unfortunately, in a losing grand final. And let's rewind the clock completely to 2001 when he was drafted. Pick 40 from the Geelong Falcons as a father-son selection to the Cats. He was drafted alongside the likes of a bunch of other Geelong legends and heroes: Jimmy Bartell, James Kelly, Steve Johnson, Charlie Gardner, Henry Playfair, Matthew McCarthy, and David Johnson. He debuted in round 1, 2002 against Essendon, where he had 8 disposals. And unfortunately, and there's been a little story pop up about it today, unfortunately, where are we? Unfortunately signed with the Suns at the end of 2010. I distinctly remember that one. I was at the High Point Shopping Centre and the talk was of the press conference. I was there with my now ex, I don't know, it's like a decade ago. But anyway, with my ex, and heard that the press conference was locked in for a certain time, and basically made a beeline back to the car to be able to sit and listen to it. And I think there was a little bit of a cry along the way. It wasn't my happiest moment, as I'm sure it was for many of you. It was a pretty awful moment when Gary Ablett left for the Suns. But we all, I think, really wished him well. The applause that he got when he returned to the Cats was incredible. The amount of respect that we have for our departing players is huge. I think we do it better than any other club in the competition. And he did some wonderful things for the Suns, came back and did some pretty wonderful things for us once again. The old, what do we call? Danger Woodlet? Oh, I don't know. I can't remember what the stupid tag name was for the three of them when they were in the midfield when he came back. But him pairing with Joel Selwood and Paddy Dangerfield was something to just sit in awe and consume when you watched them on TV or at the ground. It was absolutely incredible seeing those three play together. Lucas says, Charlie Curnow video. It's already up on the YouTube channel, mate. Go check it out. Published it earlier today. Reportedly devastated at watching his teammates play and win the 2011 grand final. I believe he flew overseas, so he could not watch it, if I recall. But here's some career highs for Gary Ablett. Disposals, he had 53 disposals in the game. His maximum number of goals, 6. 12 marks, 5 goal assists, 17 tackles, 18 clearances. One of his best games was a 41 disposal and 4 goal game in 2011 for the Suns. Flash asks a very important question right now. How many toasted sandwiches do you need to eat before it's considered overboard? Whole ones. Once you're onto your third, you've gone too far. He had a 4-game stretch with 40 possessions between 2011 and 2012. And now the number 4. We're honing in because Ben only cares about Fantastic Four right now, that little Marvel dweeb. I need to stop then. We're focusing on the number 4. 22 players at the Geelong Football Club have been capped with the number 4, and including a few famous faces. We'll start at the bottom of the list here and work our way up. Phil Stevens with 120 games, Alistair Lord 122, A. Brownlow and a premiership, Bobby Davis with 189 games and 2 premierships, Terry Bright with 219 games, and of course the most recent before Gary Ablett took on the number, Andrew Mackie, 280 games and 3 premierships. Who is currently number 4? We don't talk about him. Disgracing the number 4 right now, if all reports are to be believed. But we're not subscribing to them until the truth is out. Ben says 4 toasted cheese is the number. And Lucas says, okay, never mind. All right. We don't have much, if they are TB is a dick. TB is number 4 on the list right now. Disgracing the number 4 right now. If the reports are true. If it all turns out to be false, so be it. But we will wait until we get confirmation. Let's get into some Q&A. Like I said, we're keeping this show rapid fire tonight. We didn't even get to any of the Q&A the other night. We're doing Ben's points tonight with some trivia first. What is Gary Ablett Jr.'s middle name? It's not a football stat. What's Gary Ablett Jr.'s middle name? And don't say Ablett just because Junior's on the end there. You're playing funny buggers. Doesn't work. What is Gary Ablett Jr.'s middle name? It is not Paul. That'd be nice. It's not Kevin. Gary God Ablett Jr. I'd almost give you a pass for that. You could call it his Christian name. So not Paul, not Kevin, not God. We had another bloke on our list in recent years that shared a name with Gary Ablett. And if you can link Jackie says doesn't have one. No. Well, as long as Ben's correct, then no, he does have one. Gary Ablett shares a name with another former cat whose surname might be Gary's middle name. Not Nathan. The lack of originality in the Ablett household when Gary and Nathan Coe were born would be crazy at that particular point. Not Robert. But it starts with an R. Gary shares the name with another former cat that played with him in his most recent stay at the Cats. They were on the list at the same time when Gary had returned. He looks like a rugrat, this individual. His surname is Gary Ablett's middle name. Rodrigo. Roman goes with Gary. Lucas goes with Whiskers. We said farewell to him in like the last season or so. Oh, no. Don't tell me roaming. Gary Ablett Jr.'s middle name. I'm going to go with, I reckon, and someone made a joke before about Ben using AI, and I reckon he did, in a very Kane Corn style. He used some dodgy AI. Because Wikipedia gives me Gary Robert Ablett Jr. Jared says Robert. Kerry says Robert. Roaming says Robert. Ben says that it was Rowan, like Gary Rowan. I think he's a dickhead. Can't even get his trivia right. Next one then. Moving on. And this is one that we don't have any grey area around this. What was Josh Hunt's original jumper number? We, of course, know that he took on a different number. But what was Josh Hunt's original jumper number? He's a ChatGPT user. Yeah, 100%. Just like Kane Corns. Oh, Jackie's jumped on it real quick. 41 was Josh Hunt's original number. Very nicely done. And our final bit of trivia that Ben's put together tonight, I could see him compiling a few of these, and I sent him a message, told him to stop so I could get the show done in a decent time tonight. Jackie knows it, Josh. Name 10 Geelong captains before Tom Harley. And while we're talking about Tom Harley, please make sure, I've forgotten the name of the show, but the one that Hamish McLaughlin hosts, Tom Harley was the guest on it this week and shared some really awesome insights into his time at the Cats. It was just awesome. All right, we'll keep track of these as we go. So Jackie has got King, Colbert. We've got plenty to choose from now, but we do need to rewind. I'm looking at my list before Tom Harley. So King, Colbert, Gary Ablett Sr. is 3. Sam Newman is 4. Barry Stoneham is 5. Mickey Turner is 6. Ken Hinkley is 7. Ian Nankervis is 8. Brian Peake, I've got to double check, but I'm sure that's correct. Yeah, Brian Peake is 9. Mark Bairstow is 10. Alistair Lord, we've got, we're piling in here on top now, but we've hit our 10. Alistair Lord is not correct. If I double check the Wikipedia thing here, and I've got the full Wikipedia listing dating back even to the VFA days of 1879. But we're still going. Polly Farmer is correct. Bob Davis, I think we've discussed. Mark Bairstow, did we? Yeah, we discussed Andrew Buse. Also, took it on as well. There have been, barring the VFA days for a second, 54 Geelong captains, 65 if you include the VFA, which of course we should, because you got Charles Brownlow in there, quite importantly. Ben Graham, I think not done by Ben. I went to Wikipedia directly for that one just to make sure I had my facts straight. Ben, what has he done? Did he provide me? I did provide me a link. Oh, it took me to Wikipedia as well. So that's all right. We can give Ben a pass for that one. Barry Rowan Stoneham. Mate, you don't get to say the word Rowan. You couldn't even get your trivia right. Gary Ablett's middle name is not Rowan. Speaking enough of the week. All right. Let's push on here. We've got game of the show and your Q&A to wrap things up. I'll give people some time to queue up a couple questions before we wrap the show up by getting to our game of the show this week. It is coming to early access next week. It is from Xbox and their team Obsidian. The original game is actually on PlayStation now as well. You can go pick it up there. Was Whiskers captain for a day or not? I can quickly double check that for you. I can't remember if he took on the captaincy status along the way. Yes, he did. 1995 and 1999, Gary Hocking was captain. So yes. Where are we? So yeah, the game is called Grounded 2. It's basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the video game, but really, really, really cool. So we're going to get our media presentation mode going and show you what it's all about.
And we're rolling. Take 52.
This is Sloan Beaumont speaking. Yes, from the commercials. Ominous spokesperson, chief strategy officer, and you know what? I'm just going to say it. Friend. Listen, I was given the chance to run a massive clandestine research project out of the local park. And the work that we are doing is, how do I say this without saying it? It's scary. I shouldn't say it's scary. Our team is doing it new Ominous style, baby. So no leaks. No teens. Just calm, cool science. We've heard your requests, and we are proud to announce that we are so close on so many exciting developments. It hasn't been easy. Yes, the fatality rate for our employees seems bad, but if you do compare it to other city park miniaturization research programs, it's really not, forget this. Maybe we don't use that? But we're ominous. We're strong. We're normal. It's going to be amazing. Okay, when you see where this whole thing is headed, you are going to smile and shake your head and think, I can't believe she did it. Or we did it. You'll be so proud to have been there from the beginning. You might even, feel something.
Sorry, muted. It does sound like the Xbox CEO talking about a company right now. We are losing lots of employees. They are in a bad way right now. But they've got that Microsoft money to carry them for the time being, and we get to see awesome games like Grounded 2 along the way. Flash, I did see your comment about spiders. They do have an arachnophobia mode in the game, where basically those spiders just become like a little blob in the air that you can still deal with. Did you check out a trailer that was similar to Bully by Rockstar? Forgot the game, though. If you remember it, don't hesitate to drop it either in the chat before we wrap up tonight or pop it in the Discord, mate, with a link. And I'm keen to check it out because I did hear about I heard someone on a show I listened to the other day reference a Bully-like title. I think maybe it's on Steam at the moment. I'm not 100% clear what the game is or where people are playing it. But I did hear that something like that exists, and that could be really interesting since Rockstar isn't going back to the well and doing it. All right. Q&A. Throw a few questions at me, whether we're talking Charlie Curnow, whether we're talking about the Hawks and the Blues that are being played right now. Of course, our game, North Melbourne and Geelong on the weekend. Throw those thoughts, ideas, comments, questions, concerns at me. Keen to discuss them with you before we wrap things up. That's the Carlton fixture, but I guess I can bring up the live scores for that game now. I guess to Carlton's credit, they've kind of locked things down for the last little while and even eaten away at the lead a tiny bit. I suppose it got away and then they reined it back in. So it went from 29 points to 30 points. It's actually gotten worse this quarter. But it was getting far worse for a while there. Was I too harsh on post-game live last week? I don't know. Sorry, mate. I haven't checked it out. How likely is TDK to move to the Saints? It is certain in my mind. Absolutely certain. What's crazy right now for St Kilda, and they've gone and put their bid out there, so they can't really walk it back. What is crazy for St Kilda right now is they probably, like, with the way Carlton's going, they don't need to offer him 1.7 or whatever it is that's being reported. They could do it for a lot less right now, I think. But yeah, I'm absolutely certain. Could not be more sure. If he was going to sign on at the Blues, he would have already done so. Flash says, will we trade our first round pick this year or keep it? It probably depends if a big fish actually comes our way. So let's suppose that the Charlie Curnow thing actually, it's halftime. I'll get rid of all that. Let's suppose that the Charlie Curnow thing actually eventuated. That pick has to go. If there's one of these other big fish that are being linked to the Cats, that first pick's probably going to have to go. But my feeling is that still, like I said it a little bit in the video yesterday, I don't think Charlie Curnow is going to leave Carlton in the first place. But beyond that, I don't think the big fish that Geelong are after are available properly until the end of next year. And that's your Harley Reeds, that's your Zach Butters, that's that conversation. We might get Rowan Marshall this year. Notice I've stopped calling him Todd Marshall, Jackie and Amy, and some of those who've caught me out in this mistake a few times over the course of the last 6 months. I think we can get him, but we don't have to pay up a first round pick. As for Jackie's question here, and Luke, so I will come back to yours about the price of Switch games in a second, but we've toggled back into footy mode. Hang on. Neil first round for Curnow. Neil and a first round for Curnow. If Scott leaves, get Don Pike into the club. We'll score 120 every game. But sorry. What do we have to pay for Jesse Mellor? First pick? No. I mean, if you believe, and I do implicitly trust the likes of Cal Toomey, who know this draft and know what the clubs are looking for going into this draft almost better than anybody, Jesse Mellor would have to be a massive bolter to go rocketing, even into the top 30 from reports. Like the top 25s, the top 30, the phantom drafts have all started coming out. Jesse Mellor doesn't feature in that at the moment. So I think we can get him for like a third round, late second or third round pick at this point, which is great. We don't have to, give up the bank. We can go and get some, really awesome player for what might be, I don't know, pick 18 if all things go really well, but certainly kind of late in the teens with all the compromises to the draft, maybe even 20. I think we'll be okay. I think the other one is Ben wronged it. who was the other really high profile NGA player that we had, but then did an ACL about a month ago now. I still want to put together a video about him. I want to highlight him for people. I'm worried for him that he may not get picked up because you never want to do an ACL in your draft year. The advantage, I guess, that he has is that he's associated with the Geelong NGA program. And so maybe he gets a very late pickup in the draft. Maybe he's a rookie selection from us. That he might get that opportunity as a result of the fact that he's been working so closely with the Cats. But I worry for him. But we'll talk more about that in a dedicated video sometime soon. There we go. They were talking about him going rookie. Who was they, Jackie? But I've heard that as well, but I don't know if I just heard that in the community or whether I heard that from someone in the media or what. Flash says, do we bring in another ruckman in the off season? If so, established or new? Yeah, I mean, I think it's Rowan Marshall. I think he's the one. He's a good stopgap. If Toby Conway continues to have his injury problems, and Reece does in fact retire, getting someone like Rowan Marshall is a great stopgap for us while we go chasing another big ruckman or one of our young ruckmen, your Mitch Edwards or your Pikes or Molliers or those sorts of guys, if they develop into one. And this is again on the assumption that Toby breaks down. If Toby, his health starts to come good, the advantage of Rowan Marshall is he plays a very good role as a forward. And I know he doesn't like doing that at St Kilda, but I think you probably are willing to bite the bullet when you're going into the Geelong Football Club as opposed to St Kilda, where you're going to get on the end of a lot of ball. Hawthorn have already kicked the first goal, now up by 36 points. You're going to get a lot of ball coming your way. You're going to get a lot of goals. You're also going to be right up there, up to your eyeballs with an opportunity to win a premiership. I think he'll tolerate it. And if not, then he's going to be pretty good as a ruckman. So I think we've got lots of options there. Marshall, the trainer. Lucas, you did ask something about the Switch before. Why are Switch games so expensive and do not have clearance sales, PlayStation, Xbox? Nintendo published ones. So think games that Nintendo make. Think Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Pikmin, Animal Crossing. Nintendo puts a premium on their stuff. It's like how Disney rarely drop the price of a lot of their stuff. Nintendo treats themselves very much the same. They think of themselves as the Disney of the video game world, without all the excessive. I consider myself on the left, but without the excessive amounts of wokeness that upsets a lot of people. They just kind of make their games and know that their art holds up, and so they don't feel the need to drop their prices, and so they sell very, very well. Oh, it was a Zero Hanger video that mentioned wronged at late draft night, probably rookie. Yeah, sorry, I remember that one. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Any other questions before we wrap things up tonight? The video covered some other potential cap picks as well. Yeah, and there's some really great players coming from the Geelong Falcons. So I might bring up the Kalatumi Phantom draft, because we can take a bit of a look at some of the players coming out of the Geelong Falcons. We might make that kind of one of the last things that we look at for the night before we wrap things up. So where is it? Draft. Kalatumi's Phantom draft. All right, let's project this bad boy on the screen for a second. Kalatumi form guide. Now we'll look through. Colin is our producer. He does the show notes each week. He's frequently drunk and smells like piss. If you, it's good. It's a shame because EB Games, etc., don't have their Switch games on pre-owned. That is woke. No, it's just because people don't trade them in. People buy Nintendo games and they hold them. People don't sell them. Not until the end of a generation. People are looking to trade in their stuff for the new generation thing. Nintendo fans are they're a different beast, and I say that as one, as someone who buys Nintendo stuff. They just hold on to their stuff. So then EB and Co don't really have many pre-owned games from like Nintendo published ones. All right, let's look at the Phantom form guide, and I do like we'll kind of pick on this. Colin is our producer. The chap started him. He's fictional. But anything goes wrong, we blame it on Colin. Well, I don't. I blame it on Ben. But that's because it's true. It's Ben's fault. Ben also says we need to award 3 votes for the best in chat every Thursday night. Why not? Colin equals a ghost. In better news, Pokemon Company released the first 3 Pokemon movies for the first time on YouTube for free. They did. My kids have also been going through the first 3 or 4 seasons. Are also available on YouTube at the moment. My kids have been watching that as well. So it's been good. And of course, Lucas, if you're talking Pokemon, there was that big Pokemon showcase the other day. They highlighted a bunch of Pokemon ZA. I'm not going to embrace the Americanisms and call it ZA. Pokemon ZA that comes out October 16th. There's the Pokemon Stadium kind of successor that they showed off. There's some puzzle game called Pokemon Friends. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There was shit tons of stuff that was revealed the other night. So if you're looking for a bit of Pokemon fix, go check out the Pokemon Presents from just a couple of days ago. Just YouTube, Pokemon Presents. It's about a 20-minute showcase that went through about 7 or 8 different games, as well as the card game and all sorts. Colin is allowed 60 minutes of sunlight each day. He's chained to a pole in Jake's tool shed. Michael Dean asks, "What's the deal with Gold Coast of the ferry from Geelong to Docklands? So expensive. Oh, sorry. What's the deal with the cost of the ferry from Geelong to Docklands? So expensive. I thought it was a deal for Geelong members. Thoughts? I don't know. I'm not a Geelong local, nor am I a Melbourne local, so I don't have to catch the ferry between either location for the football. So sorry, I don't really have too much insight. The chat might be able to share you a little bit more about that one, Michael. Apologies. Joshy has popped in. I don't trade anything in, and I'm not a Nintendo guy. Heck, I've got a lot of Commodore 64 discs somewhere. That's awesome. Lucas says, just remastered Gold, Crystal, Emerald, for fuck's sake. I feel so far out of this generation because of the generation gap. Conversation because of the generation gap. Don't worry, Gary. Let's get back to football talk. Here is Cal Toomey's Phantom Form Guide. And I want to take note of the academy players and the father-son prospects along the way here, because all of these are going to make this possibly the most bloated first round of all time. Shut up, Fantastic Four fan, you douchebag. So Zeke Ullin, fancied as the top pick in Cal's eyes. Gold Coast Academy. The rich get richer. Cooper Duff Tyler, no compromises there. He's an absolute gun. I loosely know the family. The real pick one, as far as I'm concerned, because if teams are doing their business properly, they will make sure to bid on Zeke Ullin with pick 1 to make sure that Gold Coast pay the absolute premium. But who knows? Maybe that just won't happen. Jackie says, wish we had all the old Atari stuff. Bussy's just popped in for the first time for the night. We are getting towards the end of the show, but at least you're on technology, Gary. Thanks. We're all at different stages with our technological literacy, but don't worry about it because AI is going to take over for all of us soon enough anyway. Pick 3, Willem Dersma. No compromises with that one. Dylan Patterson. There you go. Gold Coast Academy. Daniel Annable, Brisbane Academy. We've got 3 so far. Dyson Sharp. Oh, sorry, and I should be keeping an eye on. And starting with our next pick here, Josh Lindsay. He's a Geelong Falcon boy. You'd have to slide a long way for Geelong to get in on the act there, I think. But I've been hearing a lot about him. He's got this wild left foot. Mitch Marsh, not the cricketer. From West Adelaide, though. Pick 8. Obviously, this is just in Cal's eyes, but he usually ends up being pretty close to the mark in the end. Aiden Schubert, Harry Dean, of course, father-son, Carlton father-son. So there's 4 compromises so far. Ollie Greaves, who's meant to be a bit of a gun. Sam, I can't remember the pronunciation of his surname. I've heard it a few times. I keep forgetting. Sam Cumming, I don't think he's related to Isaac. Max King, Sydney Academy. There's 5 compromises so far. So you're already talking about pick 18 pushing to pick 23 when the bids come in. Xavier Taylor. Archie Ludovic. So this is Jan Filippo. So what's his name? Mateus Filippo? I can't remember his name. His brother. Noah Hibbins Hargraves, Lewis Emmett, Zach McCarthy, Jacob Farrow, Adam Zweed, Bo Addisell. There's another academy pick. We're at 6. Lockie Doverston is one of the guns that plays alongside our mate from the Geelong Academy. Riley Onley, and that's it for that one. There's a top. I think Fox had put together a top. I'll see if I can Google it. Top 30 Phantom draft, just to get a bit more perspective on some of the different options here. There it is. And again, you'll see some similarities to Zeke Euland again. Actually, I'm just going to search for Academy here. Of course, we get 30, but so there's 1 with Zeke Euland, 2 with Dan Annable, 3 with I don't know why I just scrolled back there. 3 with that's still Annable with Patterson. Come on. So many times the word academy gets used. Who's that? But Cooper Duff-Tyler is not an academy pick in the end. Because they're using National Academy in the same time. God, that doesn't help. The Sydney Swans Academy, so there's Max King. There's our 4th now. I think I've lost count. Roeville Sports Academy and Lockie Carmichael, who I don't think was a name that popped up before. So different Phantom drafts, you start to see things start to shake up a little bit here. But Sydney Swans Academy. Bo Addisell was an academy player. Kobe Coulson here is another, and look at them, they're all Gold Coast. So there's, and I don't know if there's another one here with pick 30, the number of compromises just in this top 30 alone. And obviously that's a little bit beyond what we were talking about before with the specific first round, but the first round could bloat out to close to 30. And that's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. You toss the father-sons in there as well, like Harry Dean, and it's a bit of a mess. All right. Those are some of my thoughts. Anyway, Gary says, can we break it down into mids, backs, forwards? I might try and have a look into that in the next little while and try and compile something we can talk about in a little bit more detail. But that's about where we'll wrap things up for the night. Last question from Flash. Should we get one of those tall American dudes who are trying out for the AFL? Is there a spot on our list to do that? The category B? Yeah, maybe. I'm not as across our situation in that regard. Do you get rid of academy picks? No, but I think the price that clubs need to pay, a bit like the father-son, needs to go up. That's my stance on that one. Lucas just watched Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny last night for the first time. He liked it. Where's our best ever draft video? I know. Ben, I need some graphics. Put the heat on Ben. I've already built the list. I won't show you the list because then that makes the video redundant, but I've got the list. So we just need Ben to make some graphics for me and we'll make it all happen. I'm really, really keen. Worst case, we'll get it out there before the draft, but I want it sooner rather than later. I want to get our lists going. I think the list could be a really, really cool thing. But yes, get angry at Ben. It's always Ben. Those Yanks are not too bright. I mean, they're not. But some of them got some athletic capabilities that are valuable. See you on Postgame Live, Ben. If North win, I will explode. All right. That's where we'll wrap things up. Thank you all for having tuned in tonight. It's been a great show as always. It's not the 2-hour marathon that we were talking about the other day, that we had the other day. And I'm glad for that. Been a good time the other night. Been a good time tonight. I need to go get some rest. As I think Bussy said, it's my first week back at work for the term. Bit going on. My wife is also going to be out for a night out tomorrow night. So it's going to be me and the kids. I want to get some rest and some runs on the board in that regard. Thank you, as always, for checking out the show. If you liked the video, if you liked the stream, please make sure to subscribe to the Hoops Crew on YouTube. Like this video, share it with your friends and family. Get the word out there about all the content we're creating. That, of course, includes the Charlie Curnow video that I put up earlier today. And you can also go to the channel and check out what Jake put together about Toby Conway and his development, his recent return to the VFL. You can you share your thoughts, as many of you done in the live chat over the course of the show, but also don't hesitate to do so. If you're watching this after the fact, drop your thoughts in the comment section. Would love to hear what you've got to say about any of the topics we've discussed tonight. And please consider using the live chat in the future. We'd love to have you there and hear your thoughts. We've been getting lots of new faces in the chat recently, and it's been awesome. Love to have you on board. Keen to do more of it in the future. The super chat function is there for those who are looking to make sure that you heard, but also throw a little bit of love the Hoops Crew's way. Help us build our platform. Every dollar that comes through the door helps with new equipment, like the lights that we picked up for me this year. Lots of other new stuff that will help build a better product for you. Thank you in advance. You can find me on socials at Paul James Games. That's Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew is at The Hoops Crew. Thank you to our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. You heard the ad before. Drop those flower emojis in the chat if you haven't already done so. You owe it to Cyril Cook Florist. They are amazing and they help keep our content going. We owe it to Cyril Cook Florist as well. They are awesome and they keep our content going. And finally, others that also help keep the content going. There's a good 40 or so of you on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/thehoopscrew. They're kicking in $5 or more every month to get a whole bunch of awesome exclusive early access and extended content that's delivered directly to their email inboxes. We post the video, we post the article, we post the audio, whatever it is, boom, they're in your email inbox. And if you want to see what that's like, it is just there's a 7-day free trial for you to check out. Costs nothing. Go check it out. See if it's for you. And then only $5 a month from that point onwards. We'd really appreciate it. And again, you are helping that Hoops Crew dream to grow. You're helping to fuel it, make it bigger, provide us more of what we need to make a better show for you. It's a nice cyclical thing here. It is not going to waste, let me assure you. But on that note, thank you all for having tuned into the show tonight. Ben Lucas says, why not 2 hours? I need rest. Go hit it, Paul. Good job. No. Top 3 viewers, remember, Paul. Gary says, good night. Everyone in the comment section is very cool and attractive. Absolutely. And yeah, Paul's wife, plug. Thank you all for the little bit of love that you showed her the other day when it come to her business starting up. If you do want, you'd have to come all the way out to the Macedon Ranges. It's a beautiful part of the state, though. If you do want some photo shoots, family ones, I don't know, personal ones, Christmas ones. She's just launched a whole bunch of Christmas photo shoots for her VIP members, but also the public launch, I think, is tomorrow night. If you want some photos, some really nice, high-quality photos, she's an absolute rock star. She can make this turd look pretty good. Sometimes, kind of. But it'll upset Ben because he keeps asking me for mugshots for stupid reaction thumbnails, and I won't give them to him. But please, if you're looking for some high-quality photos, she's your best bet. Angelica James Photography is where you need to go. Thank you all. Actually, to Bussy's point, you're all very attractive. You should get some nice photos. Thank you all for coming on board. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, somehow, I don't see it happening, but hopefully for the sake of Geelong's chances with the top 4 and the top 8, and for the sake of Sam Doherty, Carlton can pull one out and make a miracle here. I don't see it happening, though. 70-39 in the final stages of the third quarter. Thank you all for watching. Remain Geelong strong. Look forward to chatting to you. Check out Post Game Live after the game on Saturday night. I'll see you later.